It's a bitter cold April night in 1986, and I'm 6,000 miles from home, standing in a torch-lit sunken chamber face to face with a very angry man. And I wonder, is he really prepared to fire that Kalashnikov? So just 2 months earlier, I'm spending the year abroad as a junior at a Swedish university, and I'm offered this opportunity to join a 10-day study tour of Leningrad and Moscow. Now, as an American kid who came of age during the Cold War, the prospect of traveling in the Soviet Union is both thrilling and terrifying. Growing up, I was told that the Soviets were our mortal enemy. They were called the Red Menace, the evil empire, the godless communists. When I was little, my parents had a bomb shelter in the backyard because they feared Soviet nuclear strikes in small-town rural California. So could I really travel there? In a heartbeat. So once I'm in the country, the experience of being an American in Soviet Russia is surreal, and the Cold War tension is palpable. There are Red Army soldiers and giant propaganda banners everywhere. And from the start, it's clear that our minders very much want us to experience the Soviet state in all its glory. So they sing the praises of their virtuous workers and the power of their industry and the might of the Red Army, and we visit countless museums and monuments and listen to our tour guides endlessly praise the Soviet Union. Now, for our part, we want to take every chance to escape their programming and curate our own off-grid adventures, usually involving adult beverages. So, on our first night in Moscow, chasing a rumor, two of us duck out of the approved itinerary, jump into a taxi, and head for the U.S. Embassy. Now, we had heard that there was a group of cooperating embassies who hosted a rotating pub night, and that it was America's turn. Excuse me, pub night at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow? Are you shitting me? Sign me up! So the taxi dumps us out right in front of the embassy, and first, we have to pass through this giant phalanx of stern Soviet guards with Kalashnikovs. And I approach and walk right by. They don't seem to care. And we show our IDs to the friendly Marine who's there behind the bulletproof glass, and he ushers us in. So once we're through the gate, we're in a big courtyard, and he motions to this little hut on the far end, and you can hear some music, and we can hear laughter, and as I open the door, the jukebox is blaring, I kid you not, Springsteen's Born in the USA. So I want you to picture Star Wars Cantina meets Rick's Cafe from Casablanca meets Spring Break in Fort Lauderdale. Okay? It is a crazy night, which may or may not be described in a classified intelligence memo. I am not at liberty to discuss this matter further. So the next night, right after hearing of U.S. airstrikes against Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, a close Soviet ally, we find ourselves in the hotel bar, scared shitless, surrounded by Libyans. Now, it turns out that they're orange farmers in town for an orange farming convention, and that they hate Gaddafi, but they love us. You have not lived until you've partied with Libyan orange farmers. So, a couple days later, we've made our way to Leningrad, and we're enjoying a surprisingly quiet evening in our 9th floor Leningrad hotel room, drinking horrible Russian champagne, and somebody looks out the window and they notice a queue of buses at the curb down below, and my friend Marcus, always looking for an opportunity, runs down to investigate. Comes back and he says, grab hats, coats, rubles, and champagne. We're going on a field trip. And within minutes, we're boarding this giant bus for an unsanctioned nighttime booze cruise of Leningrad. So once we're underway, my other friend Robert, who has cultivated this really authentic Russian accent, which I will spare you, he commandeers the PA, and he holds forth with this epic stream of consciousness satirical send-up of our Soviet tour guides. We are sure that the secret police are listening in and not finding the jokes as funny as we are. So suddenly the bus stops, and we all spill out onto this massive empty square in front of the brightly lit Winter Palace, home to generations of Russian czars. The air is freezing, the sky is black, and the night is still. It is stunning. And then a champagne bottle shatters the silence, and we all run back to the bus to escape responsibility. I still cringe when I think of that moment. So eventually our bus driver, Victor, gets us back safely to the hotel, and we thank him profusely and drop fistfuls of rubles into his hat, and he thanks us. And there's a few of us who aren't quite ready to go back to the hotel, so we walk to the monument across the street, and we stumble down into the torch-lit sunken chamber at its center. And we are loud, drunk, obnoxious, and oblivious to the world. And suddenly an armed Soviet guard steps out from the shadows, and he shouts at us angrily, and he tilts his Kalashnikov in our direction, and he stomps his boots violently. From his eyes, I can see that he is seething with rage and contempt. And he is my age. I am at once sobered, embarrassed, and humbled, because you see, we had visited this place earlier in the day and learned of unspeakable horror. We are standing in the Monument Geroichiskom Защитникам Leningrada, the monument to the heroic defenders of Leningrad. From 1941 to 1944, the Nazis waged a sustained campaign of terror against the people of Leningrad. The 900-day siege resulted in the deaths of over 2 million Russians and horrible suffering for millions more. It stands among the worst atrocities in the history of warfare, and there I am, a self-absorbed, carefree tourist laughing. I feel despicable. Well, the guard ushers us back off the premises, and we go to the hotel in silence. Now, I had embarked on this journey as a kid in search of adventure and intrigue, and I got that. But I also got an indelible and unflinching life lesson in humility and humanity. 37 years later, that lesson continues to sink in. Thank you.